down. افتح عند المحسن.
All right, welcome to the Young Turks, guys. As usual in the Trump administration, another giant day of news. I think he's on the ropes. I think he's closer to gone than a lot of people realize. So I've got about 3 different stories that show that to you today. I got one in the first segment, but I think the story about what Roger Stone just said might be the most important one. Because I think it's a bellwether for what's coming. And then right before we got on the air, another news story broke, as happens almost every day in the Trump administration, another unbelievable, outrageous story. Apparently, President Trump asked FBI Director James Comey to shut down the investigation into Michael Flynn. Now, recently on the show, it's all whirlwind now. I forget if it was in a regular show, in a post-game, or an old school. I was talking about, look, he's flipping out over Mike Flynn. It was yesterday on the show, and trying to contact him. And everyone is saying, you can't contact Mike Flynn. He's a witness in this Russian investigation. But he's dying to contact him. You know why? Because Flynn knows. Flynn knows whatever happened. Flynn knows it, right? And so, turns out he actually asked Comey to end the investigation into Flynn, which would be obstruction of justice, along with many other things. So he's in a world of trouble. I'll give you the full details of that story as soon as we have them. It's a whirlwind, guys. And then a little bit later in the program, I've got Bernie Sanders for you in this first segment. The attack against him has begun, since he is now the most likely to be, well, not the next president, because the most likely to be next president is Mike Pence, but the one after that. And then Hillary Clinton is back. Oh boy. And then more devastating details about the Russians. And by the way, it feels like it was a week ago. I haven't even told you the story yet on the show, because it happened just like this right before we went to air yesterday of what Trump told the Russians in the Oval Office. And his incompetence is causing news at a record-breaking pace. One bungle after another after another. Okay, now so we're going to get to all that, but I want to get started. First, I'm going to start on good news, then I'm going to get to maybe not better news. The good news is so big. But one of the stories on why Trump might be in a world of trouble, and then Bernie. All right, so let's get started. Okay. So in the midst of all of the craziness of Donald Trump and all the news of the day, I don't want you guys to lose track of the fact that we're winning. Now, you might be thinking, wait a minute now, it depends on what you mean by we. I mean, if you're talking about progressives, unfortunately, our party these days, the Democratic Party, and they're losing at record pace all across the country, electorally and certainly in policy. Yes, well, that's certainly true. But if you mean we as in the movement overall in the tide of history, well, I have great news for you guys. So now some of this you have begun to see throughout all these years, of course, but when you look at it in one moment in time, it gives you a really great window into how much we're winning. So I say we in this case, meaning progressives. My definition of progressive is people who want to expand the circle of liberty. So conservatives want everything to stay the same. So propertied white men had all the rights. They want propertied white men to always have all the rights. And that was conservatives back in the day, right? And then they hold on and they say, okay, non-propertied white men as well. And they say, okay, well, now that's the new tradition and heritage and culture. I want to hold on to that. Whereas progressives say, no, let's go forward. So expand that liberty to women, African Americans, and of course, gay Americans. So that brings me to this story. So how much are we winning on this issue? Well, we've changed the country's mind. I mean, it's a bold thing to say almost completely, but kind of. So new Gallup poll out, 64% of Americans say same-sex marriage, not civil unions, not a half measure, not some rights. Same-sex marriage should be legal. That's almost 2/3 of the country. Now, if you've got 2/3 of the country to agree with you on any issue, that is a giant, giant win. That is not a small number. That is fairly irreversible, and that trend continues in that direction and has not abated. To give you context here, back in 1996, Bill Clinton is president. I thought back then the country was already headed in a progressive direction. But you know what percentage of Americans thought same-sex marriage should be legal? Only 27%. Isn't that amazing? We moved it from 27% to 64% in about 20 years. Amazing! Amazing! So don't lose track of the progress. Yes, the arc of history does bend towards justice. And so let me give you now how the parties line up on this. 74% of Democrats now are in favor of this. That number should be higher, but we'll take it. Most importantly, 71% of independents now think same-sex marriage should be legal. It's over. We won on this issue. If you have 71% of independents on your side, OVAH, OVA, okay? And then look at this. Even 47% of Republicans. We've almost got a majority of Republicans saying yes, same-sex marriage should be legal. And of course it is. The Supreme Court ruled in 2015 that it is now legal throughout the country. But it's one thing to win on the law or on a ruling. It's another thing to win hearts and minds. And we have. And you know why? We had an excellent case to make. It's because, of course, every American should have the same rights. Nobody's asking for extra rights. Gay Americans were asking for the same exact rights as straight Americans. And the Constitution on their side, and they had logic and reason and decency on their side. Now, it also helped that this is a rare issue where the Republicans didn't care to spend that much money against it, so thank God. And so now, one last thing about this. I know the Democratic Party loves to take credit for stuff like this, and some credit should be given. I think that it was really more progressives who were aggressively pushing in this direction, human rights activists, gay rights activists who were pushing in this direction. But, you know, some folks who were Johnny-come-latelys and decided they were for same-sex marriage as late as 2013 or recently passed laws in their state, they're like, oh, look at this, I'm so progressive! I'm for same-sex marriage. I know. That parade started a long time ago. Just because you jumped in front of it doesn't mean you led it. But no matter who led it, thank God it's going in that right direction, and I don't think it's ever going to turn around. So don't lose sight of these great, great victories. So when I tell you we're going to win on a different issue, you'll see why I say that. It's based on actual facts and history. It is, although in the short term we get hurt a lot, history is on our side. We own the future. Okay, so now let me move on to today's news. Okay. Now, Ann Coulter was one of the two people that we had banned on the show. We had to break that ban because the other person was Donald Trump. Now, we banned him years ago, but he broke that ban by becoming president. So credit where credit is due, I guess. And Ann Coulter then rode that wave and became relevant because she was one of his main backers. And hence, we started to talk about her in as part of the national conversation. Before, she was just a sideshow, maybe a freak show, part of the circus, right? And just trying to get attention. But she does represent the extreme right wing in this country in some ways, so she became relevant in that sense. And she wrote a book, for example, called In Trump We Trust. And that really did capture the zeitgeist, at least of the right wing at the time. And she said that she worshipped him with, quote, blind loyalty. Well, she's relevant again because apparently she has opened her eyes, and that worship appears to be coming to an end. Now, again, as a particular performer in this circus, don't care much about what Ann Coulter thinks, but as some representative of the extreme right wing, it is an important bellwether. So now it looks like his own forces are beginning to withdraw from the battlefield. So let me give you Ann Coulter's latest quotes. She told the Daily Caller, a conservative website, everyone who voted for him knew his personality was grotesque. Damn. I don't remember you saying that, Ann, during the campaign. I don't remember you calling him grotesque. I remember you talking about worshiping him. If he was so grotesque, why did you worship him? They're heading for the exits, guys. Okay, that's on his personality, but it's about to get worse. Now, she says, as far as the issues go, boy, things don't look good. All right, I love it. She says, I'm not very happy with what has happened so far. I guess we have to try to push him to keep his promises. But if he doesn't keep his promises, I'm out. Here's Coulter looking for the wait. Where's the shoot? Get the hell out of there. Now, why is she saying that? And why is this relevant again to the national conversation? Because it is true that Donald Trump has not kept his promises to the right wing. So, for example, story out yesterday in the news about immigration. I mean, that was his number one issue, right? Build a wall, and I'm going to make sure you guys get higher wages because we're going to keep the immigrants out. And it turns out he cut a deal with the giant farming companies, and he's going to let them keep hiring exactly who they were hiring. So then that defeats the whole point. He's targeting like fourth graders, threw out a guy who was a business owner in Indiana, and going after political enemies. But the whole point was raising wages and et cetera. He's not going to do any of that. He said that he was against the global financial elite and he was going to drain the swamp. And then he put his five of his top advisors are Goldman Sachs guys. The Coulters of the world claimed that they hated the Goldman Sachs global elite. So he said he was going to get on NAFTA. He says now he's reconsidering. He doesn't even know what NAFTA is. So he's delivered on almost none of his promises to the right wing. So some of you might be happy about that. He hasn't come anywhere near building the wall. Ann Coulter's upset that there's no progress being made. She's asking for people to send bricks into Congress to help build the wall. But I mean, that's the least of the issues. The real issues are the populist things that he promised, including, by the way, getting tough on China. Now he says he didn't know how complicated it was. It turns out you can't get tough on China. Well, if you're a right-winger, you got to be pretty pissed. So far, he's given you almost nothing. He tried that travel ban, and that didn't even work because he bungled it. So, like, you love the Muslim ban, travel ban, whichever one you want to call it. I know for PR purposes you're calling it the travel ban, but the reason you loved it was because it was a Muslim ban. But he couldn't put it into effect because he's a moron. So, at the end of the day, what do you have? Like the rest of the country, you got nothing. That's why they're looking to get out now. So, she says, up to this point, where's the great negotiation? That budget the Republicans pushed through was like a practical joke. Did we win anything? Now, you might not agree with her. You might have thought it was draconian and et cetera. But for the extreme right wing, they're like, that was not nearly draconian enough. You got us nothing. It's partly because he doesn't know what the hell he's doing, and the establishment Republicans have taken over, and they're doing exactly what they want to do. Hey, don't rock the boat. Keep the establishment in charge, and just give the rich and the donors some tax breaks. And that's really what we're doing here. And that's all. You're not going to get any of your populist agenda through, okay? She said Americans don't like that. I don't like that. Yes, they're talking about hiring his kids. And listen to what she says there. That's the one fascist thing he's done, hiring his kids. Wow. Now, I know that they're more moderate. In the scope of this administration, there are no moderates there. But among the insanely right-wing and all the establishment characters that Senator Jared Kushner and Ivanka Trump are in the non-extreme right-wing, I guess. So Ann Coulter doesn't like that. But to call him fascist, I mean, Donald Trump, those are the two people he trusts most, Ivanka Trump and Jared Kushner. So if you do that, you're basically going to war with Donald Trump. You're getting the hell out of there, man. This ship is on fire, and the rats are looking for the exits. So, last one, she says, I'll say we had no choice, but the Trump haters were right. It's a nightmare. I can't even contemplate that. Right now, I'm still rooting for him to turn around. Damn. Na 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 na. When your base leaves you, you ain't got nothing left. So I've been telling you from day one that he's going to head down to 25%. Right now, he's still holding it around 39%. 39% for a new president is horrible. 25% means you're on your way out. Now, the only way he gets down to 25% is not if you convince Democrats to hate him even more. That doesn't help you in the numbers. It's if his base goes, the guy was full of crap. Turns out he's not going to do any of the things he promised. It turns out he's just going to do what Rice Priebus and Paul Ryan and the establishment wanted all along. Yeah, you're damn right that's what he's going to do. He's going to do what the big donors tell him to do. Just a normal, slimy politician. And now even the right wing has begun to wake up to that. I'll see you at 25%. Okay. Now, let's turn to the Democrats and their problems. Okay. Politico with a very interesting article about Bernie Sanders and whether he's going to run for president. All right, so the drama has begun already, and there is two different lines of attack here. I am amused by one and angered by the other. So let's give you some of the quotes from this piece written by Edward Isaac Dover and Gabrielle Debenedetti. Sorry for how I pronounce your names. You can return the favor with trying to pronounce Cenk Uygur. Okay. They explain, many top Democrats are furious that Bernie Sanders appears to be running for president again, or at least planning to drag out his decision long enough to freeze the race around him. Okay. Now, there's, again, two different sides to how I view the article as well. So, one is, what is the agenda of the people writing the article? Two, and much more importantly, what is the agenda of the people who gave him this story? So the Democratic establishment goes to these writers and says, okay, here's what we're mad about, and that's why they write the story, and it is telling of what those folks think. So that's why, in a sense, the story is important and helps us understand the landscape. So, as you see in that article there, the Democrats apparently are furious that Bernie Sanders is thinking of running for president. Why would you be furious that the most popular person on your side Yep. Plus, Bernie Sanders should bow his head to Hillary Clinton because she's got this thing figured out. Hey, Marcos. Hey, Politico. Hey, all the Democrats in Washington. How, the Republicans again, you want to torpedo a guy who the country loves? So what? So you can get paid? Our answer is hell no, and I'm being polite. Melissa continues. Yes, Perez and company are clearly afraid of Sanders and his followers, but letting Sanders make a mockery of the party doesn't exactly help it build in the long haul. You're making a mockery of the party. So here's a guy who's been gifted to you that has nearly now the doubling the poll numbers of Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump, and you go, huh, you actually want to fight for policy and the things we pretended to care about all this time, and you're incredibly popular. You're making a mockery of us. Well, he is making a mockery of you, that's true. Now, by the way, Bernie's overall popularity, let me give you two recent polls. 57% Harvard-Harris study, that was the highest number that any politician in the country got. And then Fox News, they certainly don't like that. Independent Bernie Sanders, call him a socialist all the time. What did he get? Fox News poll got a 61% approval rating there. Highest in both polls. Number one in the country, and they keep spitting in his face. Okay, now here's more for Politico. He's a constant reminder. He allows the healing that needs to take place to not take place, said one longtime senior party official, who, like others, remains too worried about appearing to oppose Sanders to speak on the record. Now, if you had the Democratic voters on your side, forget the Republican voters and the independents for a second. You keep telling me, oh, he's not even in the Democratic Party. He's an independent. He's actual progressive. Wow. He's not even part of the corporate Democrats, right? Okay. Well, then I presume that you have the Democratic voters on your side, right? Then why are you afraid to oppose him on the record? Shouldn't you be really popular in opposing him? Oh, you don't have the Democratic voters on your side. You're afraid of pissing off all the Democratic voters while shivving him in the back and giving anonymous quotes to Politico. Oh, that's why you're doing it. How do I know? Again, it's not my gut, it's not my intuition, it's numbers. So, Harvard-Harris survey. What percentage of Democratic voters approve of Bernie Sanders? Again, number one, 80%. 80%. 4 out of 5 Democrats are on our side, not your side. So don't pretend that you represent Democratic voters or the Democratic Party. You don't, and that's why you're afraid to come out and say it publicly. Okay. But by the way, I don't know anybody on Bernie's side who's afraid to come out publicly. Here I am, right? Here are all the other folks that are on Bernie's side. They're all public. You know why they don't mind saying it publicly? Because we're not embarrassed about our position. We're not embarrassed by our policy points. We're not embarrassed about the guy that we back. And we have the voters on our side, and you don't. So I guess that's a sad day for you. Okay. Donna Brazil chimes in. This ought to be good. She says, he's not someone we should go to. Really, Donna? Wow, what a shocking conclusion that is coming from you, former head of the DNC. He's not someone who we should go to build or rebuild or expand our party unless he's willing. What do you mean, unless he's willing? So here he goes on the unity tour, and he actually pushes for progressive positions that you guys have been pretending that you would like to do decades later, but you believe in the tranquilizing drug of gradualism. So it sounds like you're not willing. He's saying, let's go forward. Let's do Medicare for all. Are you guys willing? I'm the most popular politician in the country. I have all the progressives on my side. Medicare for all. Nobody shows up. It's not that he's not willing. You're not willing. So he's not someone we should go to. If Hillary Clinton was polling at 80% among Democrats and 61% among the entire country, and she was the most popular politician there was, you think they'd say, oh, she's not someone we should go to? Like if that happened in the last election. Oh, no, she should step down. She's leaving right now, so she should get out of the race. No, they would say the exact opposite. They did. Even though she was horribly unpopular, they said, no, it's got to be her. It's got to be her. Okay. Gee, I wonder if it isn't about winning elections, and it isn't winning about policy. It's about maintaining their power for all these people. Why didn't you just make it more obvious while you're at it? Okay. Now, here's more from the article. When he warned those up for re-election in 2018 against centrism, this is referring to Jeff Weber, who was campaign manager for Bernie Sanders. It raised eyebrows in the room. After the Democrats lost to Donald Trump, they lost the House, the Senate, 69 out of 99 state legislatures, the Supreme Court. They've lost everything there is, going the so-called centrist route. Bernie Sanders' former campaign manager, now is at Our Revolution, says, hey, maybe centrism is not the right idea. And in Washington, everyone's like, oh, raised eyebrows. Really? Well, then how do we get donor money? It isn't about winning elections. It's about getting paid for these guys. Okay. Touring the country with Perez, Sanders sought to stamp his economic populism on the head of the DNC, but the people familiar with the arrangement said he also spent much of the time traveling with a party chair on the private Gulfstream jet, getting to learn about Perez's personal history, which he hadn't bothered to read up on earlier. So, which finally comes me back to the actual writers of this article. So, like I said, part of it is good. Hey, at least we find out where the corporate Democrats stand. Part of it is, hey, my friends in the Democratic Party, you are my cherished sources. Who would you like me to shiv? Oh, Bernie Sanders would love to. I will write that he's going on a Gulfstream jet. Was it his jet? Well, whose jet is it? Right? Oh, you didn't write that part, but you smeared him as if Bernie's some sort of high-flying guy who's, I can't wait to get out of the Gulfstream. Why did you put that detail in there? Why didn't you flip it the other way around and go, why is Tom Perez on a Gulfstream jet with Bernie Sanders? What the hell's going on with the head of the DNC? Where the hell did he get that money from? But you didn't write it that way. In fact, the whole premise of the article is, what's wrong with Bernie Sanders? Why won't he either declare and seek power or get the hell out of the race, which is what we would really, really prefer. You can tell from all these quotes. Why didn't you write it in reverse? Why didn't you write the article saying Bernie Sanders is the most popular politician in the country? Why won't Democrats back him? What a bizarre thing to do if you seek to win elections where you're actively rejecting the guy who the country apparently really likes, unlike any other politician who they mainly dislike. But they didn't even think to write the article that way in Politico. Politico's like, hatchets, yes, ready. Scalpel, yes. Shiv, ready. Okay, not just the Gulfstream jet. The other thing is, he hadn't bothered to read up on Tom Perez's history. He's fighting for Medicare for all, for $15 minimum wage. He's got all the policy issues down pat, and you criticize him for it. And now, your attack against him is that he doesn't know the bio of Tom Irrelevant Perez enough? Because the whole mindset is Bernie Sanders must bow his head. He must bow his head to Tom Perez and Donna Brazil and to every lobbyist and every consultant and every Democratic Party hack in Washington. And if he doesn't bow his head, then he's not giving us unity. It's a debacle. He's ruining the party. And he doesn't even know the bio that he didn't Wikipedia Tom Perez it up. What an outrage! Why don't you think about it in reverse? What does Tom Perez know about Bernie Sanders? Why doesn't Tom Perez ever back Bernie Sanders' progressive policy called while they're on that so-called unity tour? Bernie Sanders says Medicare for all. Tom Perez says, we want to get together with everybody, and we like unity and love, and we want to bring people together, blacks and whites, and women and men. We want to bring them together, and then do what, Tom? And do what? I can't tell you that. My donors don't want me to say a thing about that. Yeah, that's what I thought, Tom. So I got a message for the Democratic Party. Either you unify with the most rational choice there is, the most popular guy in the country in politics. Otherwise, admit you're not for unity. You're for your own power. You don't give a damn about unity. You don't give a damn about winning. That's why you lost to incompetent, buffoon Donald Trump. How dare you even talk about anything as if you know how to win in politics when you just lost to Donald frickin' Trump, and admit that you don't ever and will never care about policy. Okay, I wonder why Bernie's got 80% approval among Democratic voters, and you guys are hiding in the bushes, young Turks.
And
Guys, we'll get to tweets later. I got 1,000 things to share with you guys. Let's go to the next Democratic story, and then I'm going to be back to Trump. Okay. Let's go to Hillary Clinton story, guys. There we go. So Hillary Clinton has decided to join the fight. God helps. Okay. Paul Blumenthal from the Huffington Post explains, 6 months after losing the presidential election to Donald Trump, Hillary Clinton has launched Onward Together, a nonprofit to fund groups that encourage political involvement. Well, kind of. Political involvement if you're doing the right things, but not if you're not. My guess is they're not going to back any primaries against corporate Democrats, right? Of course! As long as you toe the line, then they will be refugees to town hall meetings. In every community, Americans are speaking up and speaking out like never before. In other words, there's a parade. How do I jump in front of it? Okay, great. She cited new activist groups, including Indivisible, Swing Left, and Run for Something, that emerged in the wake of the Women's March. She also sent out a tweet that I want to share with you guys that listed a couple of other groups. She said, again, Indivisible, Swing Left, Color of Change, that's a great group. Emerge America, Run for Something, and Governor Howard Dean. She says, this year hasn't been what I envisioned, but I know what I'm still fighting for, a kinder, big-hearted, inclusive America. Onward! We're going to America. We're going to Seattle. Okay. All right, now, I butchered that Howard Dean quote. I like how they throw Howard Dean in there. Howard Dean used to be a progressive fighter, but for a long time now, he's been a lobbyist in Washington. And so they always throw him in there like, remember Howard Dean? Back when he was a progressive fighter, they're like, Howard Dean is strange. He's really weird. He's an angry guy. There's something wrong with Howard Dean, right? Now that he's been a lobbyist for a long time in Washington, they're like, Howard Dean! Howard Dean's great! He's smart! He's a progressive! He's on our side! Howard Dean! Yeah, okay. I know. You got in your hot tub time machine and now think that you're going to impress us with the words, the name Howard Dean. Now, look, some of those groups do really good work. Some of them do great work. Others I don't know well enough. But I'd be surprised if you were going to get a buck from Hillary Clinton and her buddies if you didn't toe the line exactly as they want you to. Okay. In fact, Hillary Clinton explains, in some cases, we'll provide direct funding to these organizations. Now, they can't really do much else. To be fair to them, they have no popular support. Her support evaporated the minute she lost the election. She's not polling at 35%. That's actually lower than Donald Trump. So she doesn't have any popular support. I mean, is she really? I don't know. I hope to God she's not thinking of running again. I don't think, maybe I'm being naive, I don't think that's what this is about. I think this is about, we're still relevant. Remember, everybody, that Clinton still have power. Who knows? I might run for mayor of New York City. Now I've got a PAC. I'm powerful. I'm important. Come on, give me money. Oh, hey, you know what? Who knows? Chelsea Clinton might run. You never know. Remember, the Clinton brand is still really, really valuable. Give me your money, and then I will direct it to allies who know how to do the right thing. Okay? They explain Onward Together has not yet announced whether it will disclose donors or set any other policies limiting donations. Okay, here. I'll break the news for them. They will not have limits on donations. And there are many donors they will not disclose. Okay, so there's your breaking news. Because that's what they always do. That's the same game that they're going to play. And so, look, I get it. Some people could say, hey, look, people join the fight. What else do you want? Great. Okay, they fight from that side, we fight from this side. And there's value to that, and maybe that's a fair point. And the proof's going to be in the pudding, so we don't quite know yet. But if history is any guide, the folks who have set up this PAC, including Hillary Clinton, have never really pushed for progressive policy positions unless they say, oh, but super incremental. Let's just take a 1% step, and then the donors are comfortable that you haven't really rocked the boat. Remember, it's the donors' vote, so be careful. Don't rock it too much. Let's go nice and easy status quo with 1 to 5% change, so you get lulled into a sense of complacency, and we keep taking all the money out, right? My guess is that's the direction they're going to go. but I would love for them to prove me wrong. Like, they get in the fight, they roll up their sleeves, and they're like, okay, Medicare for all, $15 minimum wage, free college education, no more wars, let's go, roll up the sleeves, let's go. Come on, voters, let's go, let's do grassroots, I'm going to go knock on doors. Wait for it, but don't hold your breath. By the way, we have a poll on this, TYTnetwork.com/Hillary. Should Hillary join the resistance or go back into the woods? I believe last I checked, Into the Woods was winning 93-7. No, and then the Hillary Clinton, no, that's not true. Then the Hillary Clinton bots came in and started voting. You know that now it's got over 100,000 votes. And still they couldn't get to 50-50. Do you know that when you vote in our poll, but you're not a real person, we can tell? So when the number of people who voted in the poll is way higher than the number of people who actually visited that page, we know that correct the record's been there. Let's correct this poll. This is not going well for us. We're losing 93-7. They cranked it up all the way up, had a bunch of BS votes that got her up to 57% join the resistance. And then the actual human beings showed up, and they're like, no, I don't think so. And now they're back to under 50%. Okay, so Hillary Clinton and all the donor class in Washington, if you have actual human beings on your side, then have them vote at TYTnetwork.com/Hillary. Otherwise, keep your bots. Okay. Another story about the possible fate of Donald Trump. Let's do this. Okay. Weird happenings in Washington right now that lead me to believe that Donald Trump is in way bigger trouble than even the press understand. So obviously, there's the James Comey firing, which is a firestorm on top of all the general incompetence and controversies that he's caused. And now we find out that he accidentally gave classified information to the Russians in the Oval Office. And now we find out on top of that today that he asked James Comey to stop investigating Mike Flynn, which is arguably obstruction of justice. And the reason he wants him to stop investigating is Mike Flynn knows the deal that happened with the Russians. That is a fair assumption. Okay, so then Marco Rubio randomly starts tweeting out Bible verses. That's strange. He tweets out, "Peace I leave with you, peace I give you. Not as the world gives, do I give to you. Do not let your hearts be troubled or afraid." John 14:26. Apparently this is a Bible verse that people turn to in very, very troubling times. Okay, then he quotes another Bible verse. He says, "Commit to the Lord whatever you do, and your plans will succeed. The Lord works out everything for his own ends." What's going on here? Is Jesus coming back? What? So now, a lot of people saw this on social media, including conservatives, and they're like, that's not normal. What the hell is next? Now, of course, other conservatives jump in and go, what? He say, hey, you liberals, you don't understand the Bible. The guy loves the Bible. He's quoting the Bible. How come he never quotes the Bible on other days? Why today, of all days, all of a sudden these things about, like, don't worry, as things come to a horrible end, God works in mysterious ways and you will be comforted. Like, as I see those quotes, I think either Marco Rubio has a sex scandal that he's about to tell us, or he knows something about the Trump situation and how bad it is more than we do. Okay? Now, but even so, by itself, I wouldn't have done that story if that was the only clue that we had. But let's look at the other context. Then we turn to Roger Stone, who goes on Alex Jones' show and says something incredibly strange. He tells you about how they're going to attack Donald Trump. But mind you, no one has actually said this yet other than Roger Stone. Let's watch, then I'll explain.
The disclaimer right up front. They're going to say that this is a conspiracy theory, but it's the Stone cold truth. They are going to claim that Donald Trump has Alzheimer's, that it is progressive, and that is progressing, and that is the source of his insanity. I've talked to the president fairly recently. He is sharp as a tack. There is no evidence of any deterioration in his thought process. This is completely bogus. But under the 25th Amendment, if a majority of the cabinet plus the vice president agree that the president is incapacitated, well, then he is removed. And if he seeks to fight the charges, it goes to the U.S. House of Representatives, where erosion among Republicans could destroy the Trump presidency. This is bogus. They could not beat him at the ballot box. So now they seek to remove him by claiming that he's insane. Look at his record on the economy. Look at his appointment to the Supreme Court. Look at the way he has the Chinese doing our dirty work in North Korea, and you'll see he's not crazy. He's a genius.
I was about to say, if that's insane, we need more of it.
But this is the game plan. Watch carefully. You're going to see the word Alzheimer's more and more in the next several days.
Well, I'm paying attention very, very carefully, and I had not seen Alzheimer's until Roger Stone said it. So either he knows what the Republicans are going to claim about Donald Trump, which certainly doesn't have any worthy context in the Democratic camp, or he just planted the story. And I think that is far more likely. It's a classic Roger Stone move to say, now what they're saying about how Donald Trump is insane is not true. Who said he was insane? Nobody said it. Now the thing about Alzheimer's, let me tell you something. Did I say Alzheimer's? I think people might be saying Alzheimer's soon. Remember everybody, Alzheimer's. But he doesn't have it. Now, that's not just to pull the shoe. That's a legal defense. If you're worried that they've got good evidence on you colluding with the Russians, that's why you say, oh, they're saying he's insane. So you could later say, oh, no, poor Donald Trump was losing his mind. He had already gone insane, insanity defense. So, you can't hold him responsible for the deal that he made with the Russians. He had Alzheimer's. No, look at all this erratic behavior. They have begun to set up his legal defense. Tick-tock, tick-tock. Nobody said Alzheimer's but Roger Stone. And Roger Stone is very connected to Donald Trump. He bragged to the Young Turks that he was the guy who convinced Donald Trump to run in the first place. He just said he's been talking to him all the time. By the way, Donald Trump recently said he hadn't talked to Roger Stone in a long, long time. As usual, one or probably both of them are lying. Now, final part of this is, I told you that if he was going to go, it's the Republicans who, of course, have to push him out there in the majority, right? So the first thing is you see Republicans start to backpedal away from him. Today, Ben Sass, so many others, Jeff Flake in the past, etc. Chaffetz is leaving Congress so he doesn't have to investigate Donald Trump. Then I said step two would be all the people that he wronged on the Republican side who would then look for revenge. John McCain out today going, God, I can't believe what he did with the Russians. And John Kasich saying it's outrageous what he did with James Comey. So all the guys he'd wronged in the past. And I said the final step would be Paul Ryan. Because Paul Ryan is, of course, the Speaker of the House, and he's the one that's going to have to make the decision on, are we going to move forward on impeachment? So if you have the threat of impeachment, then he resigns and claims Alzheimer's, right? So when you go to Ryan's spokesperson, he says that Congressman Ryan, quote, hopes for a full explanation of the facts from the administration. And it has begun. This could happen much quicker than you anticipate. I think all of these are very telling. Tick-tock, tick-tock. Young Turks.
It's the post-game show. Brett Ehrlich and Tim Horcher join me.
I think there's an interesting thing to be written or done about the logic of repealing EPA regulations, because that is baby killing.
Yeah.
Like, you're a baby killer. Like, everything you're doing is aborting babies. And you can go specifically to, like, Monsanto and pesticides that end up creating birth defects that abort babies. So, in a way, that is an abortion clinic that you're starting by repealing FDA regulations and EPA regulations.
That's right. But we know what they really mean when they say that they're pro-life.
Right, and that's the thing for me is, like, I'm tired of everyone speaking in code and rushing to, like, confirm their pre-existing biases. I just want them to tell me what they're actually pissed about.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it seems like with the things that we were talking about on one show were like people are okay with Trump having his own private server.
Yeah.
It's like, well, you got mad at someone else for
For
that.
her
which-
emails.
Right.
Yeah,
well,
yeah, yeah.
But like, so, okay, it's fine. You know you're bullshit. I know you're bullshit. So tell me what you're actually mad about, because it's probably your dad.
Yeah.
Like, it's probably your mom and your dad, and that's why you're mad, and it's created this crazy shit from this probably very personal relationship you have with your parents.
Mm-hmm.
And I get it, and you're angry and frustrated, and you're talking in strange codes and giving certain people passes and other people not. You read headlines and articles in this sprint to find some way to confirm what you already believe,
Yeah.
and you stop when you get it, and you don't read the end of it. Like, I get it, but tell me what you're actually mad about.
Can we? Okay, you know what? This is a good therapeutic exercise to close out the post-game show. Why don't we each state what we are the most angry about?
I'm the most angry about boycotts right now.
Oh.
Just like, boycott it, that thing's the worst. Like, if I were to get into a business right now, it would be litmus paper sales.
Uh-huh.
Because everyone's like, litmus test on that, fuck you, boycott, delete.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And it's like, read the history of boycotts. Which ones are good and which ones are like, you weren't going to buy that shit anyway.
I am angry about willful ignorance. I am angry about
Yes.
throwing away data that we have applied intellectual power to for a reason. I am tired of the rejection of intellectualism or deciding that intellectual people are elitists or somehow they think they're better than you. Maybe they are. They know things, and you should try to know things about something. Forcing yourself into the dark is never going to bring us forward. It's never going to end up with a positive result.
I'm Hassan Piker. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram at Hassan D. Piker and on Twitter at Hassan the Hunt. And this has been The Breakdown. Was that good, guys?
Okay. Not enough hashtag use. Hashtag abs, hashtag model, hashtag woke bay. Hashtag one black friend. I'm thinking more rings. I got them here. We need more accessories. Way more accessories.
I don't know where to put them.
Come on, throw these on. Woke bay, not sleep bay. More sexy too. When's the last time you posted on Instagram?
Yeah, okay.
Come on, man. No, you need to post at least once an hour. What's the outfit of the day today? Is this what you're going with? No. We need more accessories. We need. This doesn't have anything to do. It doesn't for your gay audience, man. Yeah, the gays love you, man.
Okay. What else? What else do I need to do?
You haven't appropriated a culture in a week. Do you have like a kimono or something? Yeah, that looks good on this. Perfect. How many rings you got on? Do you have any more? I got 3 more. Yeah, can we get more rings on this? And when you're done, kiss the ring. Look at the camera. Kiss the ring. Maybe like a little wink.
Islam's role in terrorism and all the Huffington Post articles were doing well. How was it?
How many likes did our last outfit of the day picture have? Only like 100,000. So I think that's where your focus needs to be. I hear you on all the blah, blah, blah social issue. We need to focus on followers.
Kids in Yemen.
We don't care if you sleep at night. Dab, mother dab. Okay, dab. There you go. More. Talk about yourself more.
I'm Hassan Piker. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram.
Yeah, be more into it.
Instagram. It's important for me. Americans losing access to healthcare coverage.
I hear you. Attack Tommy more.
I've done it. So many. She shoots out of her living room now. It's like punching down now.
We're okay with that. That helps the brand. We made you. We got you verified. You're nothing without us.
So I don't know what else I need to do here.
Dude, just take off that shirt.
That's exactly why Tommy Lauren is stupid. I hate you. I'm Hassan Piker. Follow me on Instagram.
Hashtag Wolfbay.
Hashtag Wolfbay. Please follow me. Please. Hey guys, we're back on the Young Turks. Let's go to some tweets real quick for you guys. An American in Canada writes in, if Donald wants to use Alzheimer's as a legal defense, fine. Let the court appoint the doc to prove it. He'll probably get a doctor's note from that crazy doctor he has. Trust me, Donald Trump is the most insane person. On that I would trust you, actually, I've ever dealt with. So, Woke Bay writes in, I don't know if that's us. TYT's going to need a 3-hour show to keep up with all these Trump news. Mandy writes in, when you are batshit crazy, so batshit crazy that Agriculture runs, you bought the entire farm, dude. And Santos Huante writes in, Hillary's onward progressive pack is just Clinton Foundation by a different name. Exactly right, Santos. So you can talk to us throughout the show at hashtag TYT Live. Okay, now, let's go on to what was supposed to be the major story of today. What Trump did in the Oval Office. Okay. So Trump has the Russian ambassador and the foreign minister in, and he's going to talk to Kislyak Alarov. he's apparently going to tell them highly classified information. Oops. You're not supposed to do that, but of course he's a clown and doesn't know any better. So the Washington Post was the first to break the story. Let's start with them. They explained President Trump revealed highly classified information to Russian foreign minister and ambassador in a White House meeting last week, according to current and former U.S. officials, who said Trump's disclosures jeopardize a critical source of intelligence on the Islamic State. Now, understand why this is so important. First of all, of course, revealing classified information is important. Revealing it to the Russians is even more important. On ISIS, even more important. And especially in Syria, where the Russian interests are not the same as our interests. So they claim that they're fighting ISIS along with us, and they are opposed to ISIS. But on the other hand, they support the Assad government and many other fighters in the area that we do not support. So giving them that information could be terrible. Okay, so they explain further. The information the president relayed had been provided by a U.S. partner through an intelligence sharing arrangement considered so sensitive that details have been withheld from allies and tightly restricted even within the U.S. government, officials said. The problem is they had to share it with the president, and the president's a dunce. So he's the least reliable, least trustworthy guy you can share that information with. We now find out that it is, in fact, the Israelis who have given us that information. And earlier, they were concerned about giving information to Donald Trump because of exactly this type of situation. And remember, the Russians are allied with Iran in Syria, and Iran is, in some ways, the biggest enemy of Israel. So they're like, oh, you just gave our top secret information to the Russians who could share it with Iran. That's why we were afraid to give you information, because we were worried that the American president is a total and complete idiot. And they were proven right. The partner, they explain, in this case again, later reporting revealed it was Israel, had not given the United States permission to share the material with Russia. The official said Trump's decision to do so endangers cooperation from an ally that has access to the inner workings of the Islamic State. Now, he apparently disclosed their operations in a certain city. Now the Russians know about that. And Israel thinks, well, if I give you information and then you reveal, that information to others, then people can find out who my sources are and who I have inside the Islamic State and what kind of information I'm getting. Disaster. So it's not that Israel isn't great allies with America, but they think if I share it with my ally, he might share it with my enemy. So there goes our information from Israel. Great job. The ally has repeatedly warned American officials that it would cut off access to such sensitive information if it were shared too widely, the former official said. In this case, the fear is that Russia will be able to determine exactly how the information was collected and could disrupt the allies' espionage efforts. Okay, now, how serious was it? They explained, this is code word information, said a U.S. official familiar with the matter, using terminology that refers to one of the highest classification levels used by American spy agencies. Trump revealed more information to the Russian ambassador than we have shared with our own allies. It's so secret they have code words for it. And they were worried that Hillary Clinton had a private server. By the way, I was worried about that too. But that is not even 1% of what Trump did here. There's no information that anyone actually broke into that server, or the Russians or our enemies, or etc., and got any kind of information, let alone the most highly classified information. And Trump, instead of like, hey, did you store it in the right way? Did you follow all the regulations? Just comes out, goes, hey, Russians, you're in the Oval Office. Here's all our code word information, highly classified stuff in the middle about ISIS that Israel gave us. More from Washington Post. For almost anyone in government discussing such matters with an adversary would be illegal. As president, Trump has broad authority to declassify government secrets, making it unlikely that his disclosures broke the law. So, later he will brag about that and cause himself more trouble, because again, too stupid to understand the ramifications of his actions. I'll get to that in a second. They further explain, Russia could identify our sources or techniques, the senior official said. A former intelligence official who handled high-level intelligence on Russia said that, given the clues Trump provided, quote, I don't think that it would be that hard for Russian spy services to figure this out. So they already know the city, they already know that it's about laptops and on airplanes, and they know the mission that we think ISIS is going to launch, but they could furthermore figure out who it's potentially possible that they could figure out who our sources were or Israel's sources were, and then eliminate them. Okay, White House officials defended Trump. The story's false, said Dina Powell, Deputy National Security Advisor for Strategy. The president only discussed the common threats that both countries face, but officials could not explain why staff members, nevertheless, felt it necessary to alert the CIA and the NSA. So what happened after the meeting is, people in the room were like, oh no, he just told the Russians top secret information. We have to tell the CIA and NSA immediately. Later, Trump goes, go lie for me. Go say it didn't happen. So Dina Powell comes out and says it didn't happen. They're like, okay, then why did you tell the CIA and the NSA in a panic that it did? It doesn't matter. Trump's going to tell them the truth later accidentally anyway. Never lie for Trump. He's going to throw you under a bus. So a U.S. official said, now we go to BuzzFeed. They added to the reporting. They say, quote, it's far worse than what has already been reported. Oh, damn. Because what's been reported is already pretty bad. Okay, now we go back to the Washington Post. A former senior U.S. official says, it is all kind of shocking. Trump seems to be very reckless and doesn't grasp the gravity of things he's dealing with, especially when it comes to intelligence and national security. I told you, he's a child. He doesn't understand anything, and he's too lazy and incompetent to figure it out. Now we go back to BuzzFeed. This is an Israeli intelligence official. They said, we have an arrangement with America which is unique to the world of intelligence sharing. To know that this intelligence is shared with others without our prior knowledge, that is for us our worst fears confirmed. Okay, now let's go to part of what Donald Trump said in bragging to the Russians, because he's a child. He's like, oh, I have toys. I have a lot of toys. I want to brag about it. He said, I get great intel. I have people brief me on great intel every day. Oh, Jesus Christ, man. Yet they know that. They're the Russians. They also have great intel. You're not supposed to brag and tell them what the intel is. Besides which, you're a freaking embarrassment, man. Who goes to the Russians and tries to impress them by saying things like, I get great intel. But I have people brief me on great intel every day. Everybody knows that. You're the president of the United States. Everybody knows you get intelligence every day. But he's the only one who didn't know it. So he's like, did you know that they brief me every day? Yes, schmuck. We all knew that. Okay. Bob Corker is asked about this, Republican in the Senate. He says, obviously, referring to the White House, they're in a downward spiral right now. They've got to figure out a way to come to grips with all that's happening. Republicans starting to bail. Then he's got to have McMaster, who's the National Security Advisor, lie for him. This is not going to end well. McMaster says right after this news broke, at no time were intelligence sources or methods discussed, and the president did not disclose any military operations that were not already publicly known. And then he went and doubled down and said, I was in the room. It didn't happen. Okay? That's what McMaster says. Then, of course, here comes Trump with yet another bungle. After he had Dina Powell and McMaster and Spicer and everybody come out and say it didn't happen, the story's false, he confirms it. Okay, Donald Trump tweets, of course, as president, I wanted to share with Russia at an openly scheduled White House meeting, which I have absolute right to do, facts pertaining to terrorism and airline flight safety. Humanitarian reasons, plus, I want Russia to greatly step up their fight against ISIS and terrorism. Why did you have all your guys go out there and say you didn't share that information? Then you turn around on Twitter and say, I got a legal right to share it. I looked into it. He just found out. His lawyers came in and said, well, as the president, you could declassify anything you want. You'd probably want to go through a better process than this and maybe check with a couple of people, including our allies. But you could legally do it. So, of course, somebody told him that. So he goes on Twitter right away. He's like, okay, all right, where is it? Where's my tweeter machine? I shared with the Russians, but I had every right to do it. Well, schmuck, you just threw McMaster under the bus. You just told us he was lying and Dina Powell was lying when they said you didn't share that information. He is historically stupid. Okay, now they got a new excuse they got to come out with today. So here comes Spicer with the new excuse.
When you look at that story,
it would be impossible for the president to reveal the source of the information because, as General McMaster made very clear as he was leaving this podium, the president wasn't briefed on the information and wasn't aware of the source. So the president wasn't aware of this. This wasn't part of his briefing. So therefore, to suggest that therefore he revealed it is impossible.
And we all know that he revealed information. What they're saying now is, well, remember, the president is such an idiot, he doesn't read his briefings. And this is true. They used to give 4-page summaries on issues. Like, hey, you're going to talk to the Russians, you're going to talk to the leader of Australia or Germany. Here's a 4-page briefing on what you should know. He refused to read them. They boiled it down to 1 page, and he demanded bullet points and graphs and maps. How do you fit all that on 1 page? Because he doesn't want to read. It bores him because he's a petulant child. So now there are new excuses. Now remember, the president's an idiot and doesn't read his briefings anyway, so he didn't know exactly who gave him that information and how he got it. He had the information and shared it with the Russians, but he didn't know where it came from. Oh, yeah. McMaster has the same excuse. Watch.
And I should just make maybe the statement here that the president wasn't even aware of where this information came from. He wasn't briefed on the source and method of the information either.
Now remember, the president's an idiot. He doesn't know anything. He told him highly classified information, but he doesn't know where it came from because he doesn't read his briefings. Did that help? Final quote for you guys comes from Donald Trump. He tweets, unbelievably, this is not an old tweet, this is a recent tweet, just from today. I've been asking Director Comey and others from the beginning of my administration to find the leakers in the intelligence community. But dude, we found the leaker. It's you! You just leaked to the Russians, so mission accomplished. You figured out who the leaker was. It's the first thing Donald Trump has done. Okay, last thing, real quick. Okay, related to this story, okay? Now, I know from the Republicans that endangering classified information is a very serious offense. I know this because they chanted "lock her up" about Hillary Clinton because she used a private server that might have endangered information. It didn't actually endanger the information. To the best of our knowledge, the Russians or any other enemies that we have or allies did not get that information, but she endangered it and they thought it was outrageous. Now, at the time, Paul Ryan said, individuals who are extremely careless with classified information should be denied further access to such info. Well, that's a little uncomfortable given that Donald Trump was now extremely careless with classified information inside the Oval Office and shared it with the Russian foreign minister and the Russian ambassador. He told them about a plan regarding ISIS that Israeli intelligence had given to us and warned us not to share it even with our allies, let alone people like the Russians who are allied with Iran, who's fighting against Israel behind the scenes. Oops. So, Paul Ryan, do you think that's it? Donald Trump should not have access to classified information anymore? He probably secretly does think that. Anyway, at the time, he had said, given Clinton's record of extraordinary lack of discretion and judgment, the risk is just too great. Well, given what Donald Trump has done now, our allies agree the risk of giving top-secret information to the Americans is apparently too great. Okay. Now, you think it's just Paul Ryan? No. Here's another guy who thought it was an egregious thing to do, to risk sharing classified information with people who shouldn't have.
It's clear from the FBI report that Hillary Clinton lied about her handling of confidential information. She said she couldn't recall details about her mishandling of classified information.
Outrageous! Ridiculous! Lock her up! Lock her up! That's not all. Let's go to the tweets. When it comes to Donald, there's ample evidence here. This is from during the campaign. He said crooked Hillary Clinton and her team were, quote, extremely careless in their handling of very sensitive, highly classified information. Not fit! Well, you said it, brother. Okay, anyone who's extremely careless in handling classified information, not fit for office. I didn't say it, Donald Trump said it. Here's another quote. WikiLeaks proves even the Clinton campaign knew crooked, mishandled classified info, but no one gets charged. Rigged! Okay,
So I guess he thinks that if you mishandle classified information like that, you should be charged. Good to know. Lock him up. Lock him up. Okay. Here's another one. The real scandal here is that classified information is illegally given out by intelligence like candy. Very un-American. I don't think it gets more given out like candy than the Russian ambassador and foreign minister walking into your office and you go, hey, did you know what ISIS is up to? Let me tell you our top secret classified information about what ISIS is doing. And you maybe even want to go share that with Iran. Very un-American indeed. Final one for you guys. The real story that Congress, the FBI, and all others should be looking into is leaking of classified information. Must find leaker now. Good news for you, Donald. You found him. Again, it's you. That was from back in March. And after an exhaustive search, Donald Trump finally looked in the mirror. All right. We have more stories for you guys in the so-called second hour, and they are devastating, including Rahm Emanuel. He's got a new idea on unity for us. Can't wait. Turks, Jen Ganano with you guys. Members of the day are Lynn Johnson and Richard Worthington. If you're a member of the Young Turks, you get the full 2-hour show anytime you want it ad-free, and you get the post-game show and some of our other shows like Old School and Aggressive Progressives. And today in the post-game, I will show you a bathroom that I was in.
All right, okay. Sounds great.
It sounds unfortunate, but it is, in my estimation, exactly right. Okay? So you'll see. And it's a little political.
Oh.
Only I can make a bathroom political. Anyway, members, hear that post game by joining at tytnetwork.com/join. Now, let me read you one quick tweet and then we get 1,000 stories. Davey M says, the reason why Melania Trump never moved into the White House is that she knew that idiot she has for a husband wouldn't be there long. Maybe.
She's like, why put forth all this effort, move all my stuff? He's going to be back in a couple months.
And as we were talking about in the postgame yesterday, moving's a real pain in the ass.
It is.
She's like, oh, please, he'll be back here in no time. And apparently so. Okay. All right. What's next then?
All right. Chicago's Mayor Rahm Emanuel recently had an interview with Politico to talk about the current state of affairs here in the United States. And he had some advice for liberals, which is always really interesting considering the fact that anytime he talks about liberals, it seems to be negative. Now, Emanuel is worried. He thinks everyone in Washington is too focused on the crazy around Trump to see what's actually going on and what's not. So I'm going to get to his specific quotes, but understand that the gist of what he says is about how we spend too much. When I say we, I mean liberals in general, not we as the Young Turks, although we've gotten this criticism before. We spend too much time focusing on Trump and criticizing Trump. We should spend some time focusing on other things. For instance, the middle class and the working class, which is something that liberals do time and time again, and then they get criticized by centrist Democrats for doing so. But anyway.
Okay, before you go on with more quotes. So in that first quote, I was intrigued because if you're progressive, you can make the case, hey, look, we should really focus on help get the wages of the middle class up, focus on the real life issues, and that would be a great case to make. So I was like, did he learn something? Is he going to go in the right direction here? I wouldn't agree to not talking about Trump. That's a weird thing to
He's our president, and he's doing something crazy every day. What do? You just ignore it?
Yeah, you can't ignore it. But I think we can walk and chew gum at the same time. So, yeah, we can attack Trump and tell you, hey, you know what? We should have free college education for kids so that we can have a vibrant middle class, $15 minimum wage, so we can have at least people earning a decent enough wage to be able to sustain their families, etc. So is that the direction that Rahm's going to go? Let's find out.
All right. He says the following. We don't talk about and fight for the middle class like we are. We believe we're for them, but they don't. If they don't hear we're for them, then we got a problem. It's not just for the string of policies. It's also a set of values that respect who they are in their lives. We come off and can come off as a party disdainful of them.
Okay, so in the beginning it sounded fine. Like, he's right. The Democratic Party polls worse than the Republican Party, and that is unbelievable in the era of Trump. I mean, he's a deeply unpopular president. Somehow the Democrats are even more unpopular. How the hell did they manage to pull that off? Because they're ignoring the middle class. Again, I'm like, hey, I'm slightly encouraged here. We're going to go in the right direction. But then he starts talking about, like, it's not about the policies. Yeah, of course it is. That's what affects them. You know, whether they have health care or not is a policy issue. Whether their wages are higher or not higher is a policy issue. He says we have to talk to them in a way that we don't sound disdainful of them. I'm like, uh-oh, here we go. So this is where you reach out to them on social issues. Now, you're not deplorable. You're not in the basket of deplorables. You're a wonderful human being who happens to think that the South should have won the Civil War. Okay, but so can you please come towards us anyway? This is the idea of appeasing Republicans and thinking that they'll come to your side.
Right.
Which has never, ever worked for the Democrats in my lifetime.
Right, and later on he talks about how it's okay to support Democrats who are running for office or running for re-election who happen to be against reproductive rights. And I understand that Bernie Sanders has supported a representative who has come out against reproductive rights. But with Bernie Sanders, I believe that it comes from a genuine place of, hey, I'm not going to agree with this politician on everything, But when it comes to the core values of what it means to be a progressive, this person, follows suit. When it comes to economic justice, this person follows suit. With Rahm Emanuel, though, he has never struck me as a progressive or an individual who's cared about liberals, who's cared about the middle class or the working class. I mean, he's been in some of the most powerful positions imaginable. And what has he done? And even in that statement, you're right, Cenk, he talks about, it's not just about the policies. No, it's 100% about the policies. That's why during this last election, so many people were frustrated by the pandering that we experienced from the candidates. Hillary Clinton being one of them, right? The pandering about the hot sauce in her bag. No, we don't care about the hot sauce in your bag. We care about what you're going to do for the working class and the middle class.
So, but I want to talk about that Mello endorsement a little bit more because this guy's running in Omaha, Nebraska, and so he doesn't agree with us on pro-choice issues, and that's devastating, right? But that's why when the press asks me about, for example, the Just Democrats, that's the progressive wing of the Democratic Party, we say out of the 23 things in our platform, only one is non-negotiable. You're not allowed to be corrupt. You can't take lobbyist money or PAC money. Okay, everything else, it depends on where you're running, and I wish you agree with everything, all 23 items of the platform. But I understand that you're going to have different positions on guns depending on where you are in the country. I get that, right? So if he was making a case like I think Bernie Sanders is making that case, if Rahm was making that case, again, I'd be super welcoming to it. But it turns out, no, he's not talking about that. He later says, no, we have to be more centrist. Okay, which means, and if you're not talking about policy and you're not talking about Trump, what's left? What's left is running to the right.
That's right. That's exactly right. And it's funny because the main criticism here was liberals are wasting too much time focusing on Trump. They need to address the middle class. And then for the remainder of the interview, the only thing he talked about was Trump. Let me give you an example. He's attacked Atlanta. He's attacked Philadelphia. He's attacked New York. He's attacked the gangs there. He's attacked Chicago. I noticed he never attacked suburban or rural areas for their opioid crisis. He talks about how to solve those problems. You have a huge opioid crisis in the suburbs, massive opiate heroin crisis. Now they don't get stereotyped or criticized, they get empathy. Okay, so that's the kind of stuff that we criticize him for too, because he's the president and he deserves to be criticized, especially when he's doing something wrong. I don't know, I felt like he came off as disingenuous, and it's also really, really interesting to me to hear such a centrist tell liberals how they need to act in order to appeal to people. No, you appeal to people by showing that you actually understand their issues and want to fix those issues.
And you want to fight for those changes. Look, you have to understand the context. It's not the first time we've heard of Rahm Emanuel. Of course, Chief of Staff for Obama was in the Clinton administration. When he was Chief of Staff for Obama, he famously told a room full of progressives about how they were effing retarded for being liberal. Okay? And later in the article, he explains to Politico that we have to look to the suburbs and find the moderates. No. But on the policy positions, almost all 23 planks for example, in the Just Democrats platform, polls at 60% or better. You already have the moderates. You already have the independents if you actually went with the policies that we're talking about. Expanding Social Security, not cutting Social Security, free college education, etc. All of these things, even immigration reform, they all poll at over 60%. The issue isn't getting moderates on our side. The issue is he doesn't want to do any of those things because the Democratic donors don't want him to do those things. So he wants to play identity politics, partly why he mentions the cities there. Of course, it's the mayor of Chicago, which is a city that gets attacked. That's fair, right? And so he doesn't want to talk about policies, even though the policies would get you the moderates that you're looking for, because he's not looking for moderates. He's looking to trick the voters and please the donors. So at the end of the day, it turns out it's the same old Rahm Emanuel doing the same old tricks. And he says, one more quote from him, talking to ourselves and persuading ourselves is not going to be the way to get a majority. In other words, don't fight for progressive positions. Talking to ourselves and persuading ourselves, meaning becoming progressive and fighting for progressive issues, is not the way to go, he explains. He says you have to go get a majority. That is code word for go further right to try to get right-wing voters.
As if the country hasn't gone right enough, right?
Yeah, and so that is a loser strategy, because when you say that you're Republican light, the electorate says, okay, then why don't I vote for the real Republican? You just told me they're right. Okay, then I'll go vote for them and not you. Why would I vote for you after you undermined your own policy positions and told me the other side is right? In fact, you did that so much, I'll even vote for a guy who was polling at 37% on the day of the election. I'll even vote for a guy who's completely incompetent and a complete monster because you told me that you don't believe in your own positions and I should vote Republican. So I did. And Rahm Emanuel hasn't learned a thing. Same old strategy from the same old corporate Democrats.
All right, moving on. Meet Tim Gurner. He is a wealthy individual living in Australia who recently had an interview with the Australian version of 60 Minutes. And during that interview, he addressed millennials and their inability to afford housing. And of course, I love when you hear from out-of-touch wealthy people who have all sorts of theories on why millennials can't afford to buy homes. Okay, so here's what he had to say. When I was trying to buy my first home, I wasn't buying smashed avocado for $19 and 4 coffees at $4 each. We're at a point now where the expectations of younger people are very, very high. They want to eat out every day. They want to travel to Europe every year. The people that own homes today worked very, very hard for it, saved every dollar, did everything they could to get up the property investment ladder. Okay. First of all, I would be shocked to find anyone who goes to Starbucks 4 times a day to buy $4 coffees. Maybe once a day, maybe twice a day, but 4 times a day? Okay, you're exaggerating. Secondly, no one's spending $19 or $22 on avocado toast. That's crazy. Third of all, even if someone does spend that kind of money on that kind of food and then stops, they still wouldn't be able to save enough money to buy a home. How do I know that? Because I just did the most extensive investigation into several different countries that are having a housing crisis right now. And you cannot compete with foreign investors who come in with all cash offers, don't need to take out a mortgage, don't need to work with escrow, don't need a lender, come in, just make it rain, and they snatch up all the homes, okay? That's what's happening right now. So you want to talk to me, okay, someone living in Los Angeles experiencing this firsthand, that, hey, Anna, if you just stop buying the avocado toast, you'll be able to afford a home. No, not buying it. This just shows how incredibly out of touch these people are.
So there's 2 different parts of this. One is, Anna's talking about the big cities, right?
No, it's happening in smaller cities throughout the country as well. It's happening in the Southeast. It's happening in the Midwest. It's happening in a lot of cities in the United States. And by the way, this is not just a problem in the U.S. This is a problem in Australia, in Japan, in Canada. We're seeing it all over the world.
Definitely in the UK. London had big time with it. Part of the reason is that folks in other countries like China and Russia and the Gulf, they got to watch their money, okay? And so the reason they're coming in with cash is because of the laws set up in their own countries about what they can and cannot move through banks. Instead, they move it through cash, and they lay down property, and then they can't be traced. So it's a way to get their money out of, especially China, but certainly Russia as well, and other countries. So now that's part of the phenomenon. It's driving up prices. You're not going to be able to eat at an economical price enough to be able to afford houses in these cities that are way, way higher than what this guy's talking about.
Right.
But I actually think that even the bigger issue here is that everybody lives in their own bubble. So for the rich, like Tim Gurner, he actually does know a lot of millennials who eat avocado toast because they're his rich friends' kids. Mm-hmm. And then he looks at them and goes, oh, they look so entitled. They're not working hard enough. All they do is spending mommy and daddy's money. Well, for some of them, that's totally true. But what you don't see is poor and middle-class millennials who don't have mommy and daddy's money to spend, who aren't paying $22 for avocado toast, because they don't have the $22, let alone the money to buy a house. How many times has Tim Gurner hung out with a minimum wage worker? How many times has he hung out with guys who are working at McDonald's or Waffle House in the middle of the U.S. or in Australia, and thought, oh my, if he met those guys, he would be shocked.
Yeah.
He'd be like, wait, what? Like if he went and just watched the videos on PYT Politics, when Jordan interviewed those guys who were working at a burger chain, and he asked them what their dream is, they hadn't bothered to dream about a better future, because all they knew was minimum wage. right?
Yeah.
And those guys you think are eating avocado frickin' toast?
It's ridiculous because it places all of the blame on an entire generation, right? They become the scapegoats, and it's a really great way of distracting people from what's really going on behind the scenes. Look, understand that I'm not expecting people to hand out houses. I'm not expecting it to be easy. I understand that homeownership is difficult, and it's not a right. It is a privilege. You work hard and you earn it, right? But here's the thing. Earning it has become incredibly difficult. It's become impossible because you have all of these things working against you. And it's not just one factor. It's not just that foreigners are coming in, but that has driven up the cost of the cost of homes throughout the country right now. I mean, isn't it kind of interesting how wages continue to be stagnant, right? I couldn't understand what was going on. I'm like, we're not earning more money, right? This is currently a huge economic problem, but why are the prices of homes going up so quickly, so fast? And then you just do a little research, you do a little digging, and you find out you can't compete with cash buyers. You can't. And so now you have different countries throughout the world right now that are trying to pass like special taxes to kind of deter foreign investment. And look, foreign investment is good to a certain extent as well. You know, they build up certain towns that have been neglected, and let's say a certain city doesn't have the resources to do that. Foreign investment sometimes makes sense, but it's gotten so out of control that not only do millennials have to deal with the system that's rigged against them, that now they have to also deal with wealthy people from other countries coming in and snatching up opportunities as well.
Anna, if you just stop eating avocado toast, then you could afford a multi-million-dollar house.
Like, yeah, okay. So the next time a rich person tells me I need to eat crap in order to afford the basic necessities of life, I might get a little violent. Okay? Not literally, okay? I might get verbally violent.
Well, that sounds more like us. Okay. Anyway, look, last thing about Tim Gurner. I guess we said it already. They just live in their own bubble, and it drives me crazy that they look around at all their rich friends' kids, and then they're like, "Oh, I don't know, everybody's eating avocado toast. So why don't they eat cake?"
It reminds me of adults who talk about how they put themselves through college, like in 1960. Like, what? I put myself through college. You know, why can't you do it? Why don't you work while you go to school?
Yeah, because college cost $25 back then.
That's right. Same thing with housing. Okay, housing. I love my parents, but they're also a little out of touch on this issue because they bought their house for like $100,000 back in like the 1970s or 1980s. I don't remember.
In LA.
A condo now, you'll be lucky if you find a condo for $500,000. Okay, so just keep everything in context and understand how much inflation has affected people, and our wages have not kept up with that inflation.
Super last thing, and the GI Bill put a lot of people through college. It was great, and then they're like, "Why don't you earn your way?" But wait, I don't have the GI Bill. If I had the GI Bill, maybe I could do that, right? So you live in a totally different situation than I did. And in Ron Paul, it's like, oh, same thing. I worked my way through college, dude. It cost you 12 cents per year to go to college when Ron Paul went to college because he's like 1,012 years old, right? So and all just everything that they had a better, like Paul Ryan. Oh yeah, your Ryan Rand is awesome, and you should pull yourself up by the bootstraps. How'd you get through college? Oh, I got Social Security because my dad passed away, so the government gave me all the money I needed. Oh, is that right? Why didn't you just fucking pull yourself up by the bootstraps, Paul? Oh, you didn't, right? You fucking milked off the government, and now you want to burn the bridge right behind you. Fuck you, Paul Ryan. Fuck you, Tim Gurner, and all these guys who never, ever lived out or even consider what it might be outside of their fucking bubble. Casey, you got me worked up.
Yeah, I like it.
Okay, what's next?
Let's take a break. When we come back, we have a 63-year-old woman spitting some truth to a representative.
And then Dave Chappelle apologized. Mm-hmm. So what did he apologize over? Because he's got some... have you seen his stand-up on Bill Cosby?
No, not Bill Cosby.
Okay, anyways, we'll get to Dave Chappelle.
Nerds rule the world, nerds rule the world, nerds rule the world.
Now, you guys are going to think, especially my early behind-the-scenes footage, Like, I already went and looked at the comments in the member section. He goes, oh, he's high, he's drunk. I swear to you I'm not. Well, I just tell you if I am.
Yeah.
Right? And so I get goofy in the behind the scenes stuff.
What's the need for the butter with this pretzel? This is already super blending it up. You don't need to put butter on this thing. Why'd they make me do it, Vince? Why'd they make me? Hey, I'm just saying that this is known as the rear end guy. There's no way that every person he knows doesn't call him the rear end guy. I want you guys to see if you could see the lightning bugs. Whoa. Light them up. Light them up. I will now watch you later. Vincy, this is my cat. You know what his name is? Kiki Cat. Imagine him in there. Hey, Kiki Cat. Kiki Cat. All right, this is Kiki Cat signing out.
Hey, Jenny, what's up? Aaron, I forgot my email password. What is it? EASSWORD.
We talk about TYT Army being so strong. Usually they help us run our show. Now they're going to help us run the country.
Like this.
It's time that we reclaim democracy for the people.
We had a huge victory for Wolfpack.
When Lincoln said this was a country by, of, and for, he said of the people, not of corporations.
Our representatives don't represent us. Whoa! Democracy!
United!
We are!
We are!
Too strong! There's thousands of volunteers, and you can be among them.
With Wolfpack, the mission is so clear.
Money is killing our democracy. 96% of Americans want it. When you get the power back, oh, that feels good. This is just the beginning. Let's go get them, man. Up and at 'em. Knock, knock. We're coming for them! Wolf-pack.com.
Nerds rule the world. Nerds rule the world. Nerds rule the world. Nerds rule the world.
Welcome to Nerd Alert, everyone. We have an exciting show for you this week.
Glad to communicate with all the nerds out there.
What's beautiful about geeks is geeks are open to everybody. That's the thing. It's like, so you got your thing, I got my thing. It's like, and if you're not, then you're a bad geek.
Why did you choose Battlestar Galactica? Because it's awesome? No kidding. The floor is not lava. Yoshi! My nightmare!
And there's one very special characteristic that many men have been interested in. Penis size. What's up, friend?
Yeah, I know that curve.
And that movie is the Valentine's Day romantic classic, Deadpool.
Whoa, wait a second, Doc. You mean to tell me this is a nerd alert? That's right, Marty. We've entered a nerd alert.
Isn't that right? How can you improve pizza? With math, of course.
If we spilled goldfish crackers on the floor and we didn't want to clean them up, so we thought that if we stomped on them an infinite amount of time, they would mathematically cease to exist.
We are ready for a Wonder Woman movie. Oh, wait, no, let me correct myself. We were ready for a Wonder Woman movie years ago.
I'm Joss Whedon, and you're watching Nerd Alert.
We're back on the Young Turks. Jake and Anna with you guys. I want to give you one poll that I told you about earlier in the show. Should Hillary join the resistance or go back into the woods? That's tytnetwork.com/Hillary. The real results are 22.5% say join the resistance. 77% say go back into the woods.
And look, I think the reason why so many people want her to go back to the woods isn't because they don't want people to join the resistance. I don't mean to speak for you, by the way, so if I'm wrong, let me know. I think it's because people don't trust her, right? I have no problem with people joining the resistance. But she doesn't come off as someone who's genuine about the resistance. She comes off as someone who is doing it for personal reasons, personal gain.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, let me read some tweets. Mandy says, pretty sure if someone wrote what's happening now as a dystopian novel, it'd be slammed by critics saying, come on, no one is that stupid. It's true. Like, it'd be a B movie, right? You wouldn't put a character like that in a real movie because it would be outlandish and unbelievable. Ishkabibble says he closed, referring to Rahm Emanuel, he closed 50 schools in South Chicago. He's insane.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
I don't know that he's insane. I think that he's got other interests. The liberal mom says things have changed since Bill Clinton. The moving right does not work anymore, she capped it. When will they get this? They'll never get it because they're moving right not because they think it's a winning strategy and that they're behind the times. They're moving right to please their donors so they can keep on getting those donations. Then they're retroactively justifying it by saying, oh, we need to capture moderate voters. How's that working out for you? Anyway, Savannah says, it's so hard to get ahead. If you've ever gone through a bad time and missed a credit card or car payment, you aren't getting a house. Now, good point. I forgot to mention in that story, 75% of Americans cannot survive a $700 debt. Like, if they get a bill for $700 for whatever reason, right, they would then not be able to pay the bills. 75% of Americans. You're talking to me about fucking avocado toast? They have no idea what's going on in this country.
No idea. I wanna elaborate on that just a little bit in the post game because I have some stories that I think the audience would find interesting.
Okay, we're elaborating that on the post game plus what bathroom I was in and how it's related to politics.
Okay.
TYTnetwork.com/join to hear that post game. The final one. Bitchy gay guy writes in, oh shit, I had no idea I could afford a $400,000 condo if I just stopped paying Chipotle at $1.80 per block. Well, now you know. That's why you watch the show. Okay. All right, what's next, Anna?
All right. A GOP congressman was having a town hall where he discussed the Affordable Care Act and what he would like to strip away from it. This is Representative Rod Blum from Iowa. And in case you want a little taste of what he had to say about maternity care and the audience's reaction to it, take a quick look.
Such as a 62-year-old male having to have pregnancy insurance.
Okay, so just to give you a little more context, he was complaining about the fact that men also have to chip into the healthcare system in order to pay for things like maternity care. And I love the way the constituents there reacted to it because on the surface, for someone who doesn't understand the nuance of healthcare, yeah, it sounds outrageous. Why would I have to pay for maternity care if I'm a dude? But the healthcare system doesn't just let you pick and choose specific things that you want to pay for yourself. It's paying into a system that makes healthcare a little more affordable for everyone, right?
So, well, Republicans are both, indifferent to your problems. And like, if it doesn't affect me, I'm a dude. Your pregnancy is your problem, not my problem. I don't want to pay for it. But wait, we kind of need to do it together. Have kids. That's how it works.
Yeah.
And so I don't care. Second part of it is that they're not that bright. So that's why Paul Ryan did that press conference where he's like, under Obamacare, the healthy pay for the sick in the insurance system. Yeah, that's how all of insurance works. So if you didn't have the healthy go into the insurance system, then the sick couldn't afford it. You pay throughout your life, and hopefully for a lot of it you're healthy, and then you get it when you need it. Oh, but they're so stupid.
country, unfortunately. But if things got even worse, would they enjoy that? I mean, you can only build so many moats around your state. You know, at some point, you're going to be living in a terrible condition just because you want to hoard all your resources for yourself. And by the way, I mean, same thing with education. Property taxes go toward funding public education locally, right? A lot of people don't even have kids. So why should they have to pay for it? Because we don't want to live in a country full of idiots. That's why. Okay? You want innovation. You want your country to compete in a global economy, right? You want to be a freaking patriot. And for some reason, we have lost that identity.
And by the way, it winds up coming to help you anyway, because then if you have good schools, even if you don't have kids, property values rise, then your house is worth more. Hey, look at that. You did the right thing, and it turned out to be a good thing for you. When you pay for kids' education, they wind up being successful business people, and they create more jobs, and the economy's better, and you're better off. That's why we work together. If you want a libertarian paradise, I got one for you. Go to Somalia. They have almost no laws there. How's that working out?
All right, moving on to some other news. Right after Donald Trump got elected, Dave Chappelle was on Saturday Night Live, and he made the case that maybe it makes more sense to give our new president a shot before being super judgmental. However, recently Dave Chappelle has completely apologized and taken back those statements. Now, to give you the exact statement he said previously, he's like, I'm wishing Donald Trump luck, and I'm going to give him a chance. And we, the historically disenfranchised, demand that he give us one too. So that was his initial statement. Fast forward to today, and he says, I was the first guy on TV to say, give Trump a chance. I effed up, sorry.
So it's a funny thing to apologize for giving someone a fair chance, right? But I think you should apologize. And I'll tell you why. Look, that sounds funny, but it's not like Donald Trump came in with a blank slate. So if you say, hey, we don't know this guy at all, give him a shot, I agree with you. Of course, if I don't know him at all, why wouldn't I give him a shot? Especially as a progressive, of course I'd give him a shot, right? But we knew who Donald Trump was. It's not like he's going to change magically overnight.
And it's not like he was trying to hide who he really was. He was one of the most transparent candidates imaginable. Just completely shared how hateful he was, and people liked it.
Yeah. So now people will still criticize Dave Chappelle, saying, "Oh my God, we're only a little past 100 days in his administration, and you're already making a decision on him." What more evidence do you need? During the campaign, he bragged about sexually assaulting women and getting away with it. He, proved throughout his whole life of his complete incompetence in business and otherwise, 6 bankruptcies, etc. He would say about how he doesn't care about other people, and then in business, caring about other people is a disadvantage. You don't want to do that. He would scam people out of money like he did with Trump University, and the list goes on and on. So when he came in, we knew who Donald Trump was. Giving him a chance doesn't really mean anything, right?
Right. Look, and the reality is we covered every single part of the election. So we were very aware of what he said in every debate, both during the primaries and during the general. And so you know what? Gave him a shot. He's terrible. I apologize.
Yeah.
And so you got to give him credit for that, because a lot of people, especially Trump supporters, don't want to be proven wrong. And so even if Trump kicks them in the face, they'll go ahead and say, no, love him. Definitely in the approval rating component of the polls, and it's insane.
Yeah, well, I'm missing Tina because he kicked me in the face, but I've got a lot more ventilation now in my mouth. So thank you, Trump. So look, Chappelle, don't get anybody wrong, was never a Trump supporter. He was saying, hey, look, give us a shot in a disenfranchised population, and we'll give you a shot. And then a couple of months in, it's super obvious that Trump is not doing that. So he's saying, nah, it was a waste of our time to think that he would ever change. And he's right about it.
Yep. All right. Real quick, one more story before we call it a day. We called it. Bill O'Reilly will be joining forces with Glenn Beck on The Blaze. They will be teaming up to do weekly discussions together. In fact, Bill O'Reilly said, "We're going to do that every Friday until Beck gets tired of me. And it's a good outlet for me, too, discuss things back and forth with Beck, who's a good friend. We don't agree on everything, but it's very lively." It's such a great Christian thing to do, to hire someone like Bill O'Reilly. I mean, nothing says Christian values like having a serial sexual harasser as part of your company.
Yeah. So I don't know to what degree he's paying him, and Beck's finances is apparently an absolute disaster. So probably O'Reilly, who has an enormous amount of money, is probably doing it for either free or close to free. But these guys didn't get along before, and O'Reilly's a Trump supporter, and Beck is not, right? And at Fox News, they had some beefs. But now that they're both been kicked out, all of a sudden they're getting along a little bit better. Now that O'Reilly needs an outlet, all of a sudden, before Glenn Beck was like an amusing little guy he would have on, and he was Papa Bear at Fox News.
Right.
And when Glenn Beck left, he didn't shed a tear at all. But all these guys, and especially their conservatives, right? They're like, "Oh, it happened to Glenn Beck. Who cares? They run him out of town." What, you're running me out of town? Oh my God! It turns out Fox News runs people out of town. Hey, Glenn, I'm sorry, man. I'm trying this podcast thing, but like 13 and a half people are listening. It's a total disaster. Can I come on your show? And Beck's like, okay, who's Papa Bear now?
Mm-hmm.
So that's what's happening here. Glenn Beck needs the audience and needs money. His Blaze is ablaze.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, that's why they named it Blaze. They take a pile of money and then set it ablaze. Okay, and O'Reilly desperately needs some outlet because without Fox News, it turns out nobody really wants to listen to him.
Real quick, how clear is it that these dudes have such a deep disdain for women, period, right? So Glenn Beck fires the one person who got any attention on The Blaze, Tomi Lahren, because she had the audacity to make sense once in her life about reproductive rights. And then he fires her and then decides to work with Bill O'Reilly, who was pushed out of Fox News because he was sexually harassing too many women. It's insane.
It probably never occurs to him that that's not the Christian thing to do. Okay, we're out of time, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you in the postgame. If you remember, TRTnetwork.com/join. Thank you for joining us. Bye-bye.
Now, hey.